I bought the land for peace. That was the whole reason I moved out of the city. 40 acres of quiet countryside just outside a growing suburban development in northern Arizona. No neighbors close enough to hear you sneeze. No traffic. No, just dirt roads, pine trees, and a long gravel driveway that cut across the edge of my property. Or so I thought. For the first few months, everything was perfect. Then the subdivision behind my land finished construction. A shiny new HOA popped up overnight like a bad rash. Suddenly, SUVs started using my private driveway as a shortcut to their community lake. Kids rode bikes across my pasture. Joggers waved like they owned the place. I tried being polite. I put up no trespassing signs. They vanished. I vanished. Talked to a few homeowners. They shrugged. Then someone dumped trash near my fence line. That's when I decided. Gate time. I hired a licensed contractor, pooled county permits, and installed a solid steel ranch gate at the entrance of my driveway. Clear signage. Reflective paint. Everything legal. The morning after installation, I was sipping coffee on my porch when I heard a car horn blasting, like the apocalypse had arrived. I looked down the drive and saw a white Lexus SUV stop dead. In front of the gate, a woman stepped out, mid-50s blonde bob, designer sunglasses, HOA energy radiating from every step. She marched up my driveway like she was storming Normandy. Excuse me. She screamed before she was even halfway there. I stood up slowly. Morning. You cannot block this road, she snapped. This is community property. I almost laughed. Almost. This road is on my deed, I said calmly. It always has been. She scoffed. I'm the HOA president. We've been using this road for years. Using it doesn't make it yours. Her face turned red instantly. You don't understand how HOAs work, she said. We maintain this area. No, you don't. She pointed aggressively at the gate. You will remove this, or I'll have the board take action. I pulled my phone out and opened my county parcel map. This gate is entirely within my boundary. If you don't leave, you'll be trespassing. That word set her off. Trespassing, she shrieked. On community land, she stormed back to her SUV, peeling out so hard she kicked up a cloud of dust. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 2 days later, I found a bright orange HOA violation notice zip-tied to my gate. Unauthorized obstruction of community. ACCSS fined. $500 per die. Stared at it in disbelief. I wasn't part of their HOA. I never signed anything. I never agreed to anything. So I did what any sane person would do. I ignored it. The notices didn't stop. Every morning, a new one appeared. Higher fines, stronger wording, bold red ink. One even claimed they would place a lien on the property. That's when I knew this wasn't ignorance. It was entitlement. A week later, I heard engines multiple. I looked down the driveway and saw 3 HOA board members, including Karen, standing in front of my gate like they were staging a coup. Karen had a clipboard. She banged on the gate. Open this immediately. I stayed on my side of the fence. You're trespassing? She smirked. We have the right to inspect community access. No, you don't. One of the board members muttered. Just cut the lock. Karen's eyes lit up. Do it. That's when I pulled out my phone and dialed the sheriff. They didn't believe me at first until they showed up. The deputies arrived, looked at the gate, checked the county map, and then turned to Karen. Ma'am, the deputy said, is private property. Karen exploded. That's impossible. Our residents have always used this road. The deputy didn't flinch. That doesn't matter. She pointed at me. He's blocking emergency access. The deputy shook his head. There's an alternate route. Your HOA approved it. Karen froze. How do you know that? He tapped his clipboard. County? Record Seattle deputy leaned in. You need to leave. Now, Karen left screaming about lawsuits. That night, someone tried to ram the gate. Security camera caught it all. The court summons arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. Thick envelope. Official seal. Karen hadn't backed down. She'd doubled down. She was suing me for blocking community access, damaging HOA property, and my personal favorite, emotional distress to residents. I laughed when I read that last one, but my lawyer didn't. Oh, she's serious, he said, flipping through the pages. And she's about to learn a very expensive lesson. Court day came fast. Karen showed up early, flanked by her attorney and 2 HOA board members. She wore a navy blazer, pearl necklace, and the kind of smug smile that says, I've never been told no in my life. She kept glancing at me like she expected me to be nervous. I wasn't single quos T, because facts don't care about HOA feelings. The judge entered. An older man with steel gray hair and zero patience for nonsense. He adjusted his glasses and looked over the docket. Let's get started, he said. Karen's lawyer stood first. He painted a dramatic picture. For nearly 40 minutes, he claimed the road had been open and used by the community for decades. He argued that the HOA had de facto ownership, that the gate was hostile, and that residents were being denied safe access to shared amenities. Karen nodded aggressively the entire time. Then, she took the stand. And that's where everything started to unravel. She swore under oath that the road was maintained by the HOA. She claimed she had verbal permission from a previous landowner. She insisted the county recognized it as a shared roadway. The judge listened quietly, didn't interrupt, didn't react, just took notes. Then my lawyer stood up. It smiled, which made Karen visibly uncomfortable. Your Honor, he said, we'd like to introduce Exhibit A. Up came a massive screen. Displayed clearly was the original deed from 1968, showing the driveway fully enclosed within my property boundaries. Karen squinted at it. My lawyer continued. Exhibit B, county survey maps. Exhibit C, property tax records. Exhibit D, maintenance logs. The judge leaned forward. According to the county, the HOA had never maintained the road, never plowed it, never repaired it, never paid a cent toward it. Karen shifted in her seat. Then my lawyer dropped the hammer. Exhibit E, security footage, filled the screen. Clear as day, Karen stood at my gate, pointing and shouting. Her voice echoed through the courtroom. Cut the lock. We'll deal with him later. A gasp rippled through the room. Karen's lawyer turned pale. The judge paused the video. Double quotes, Ms., he said slowly. Is that you? Karen stammered. I was frustrated. Were you aware, the judge asked, that ordering someone to damage private property is illegal? She opened her mouth. No sound came out. My lawyer wasn't done. He submitted copies of HOA emails. Internal messages. One, sent by Karen herself months earlier, read, we don't technically own the road, but if we act confident, most people won't question it. The courtroom went silent. Karen's face drained of color. The judge removed his glasses. Ms., he said sharply, you knowingly misrepresented ownership, issued fraudulent fines, and attempted to seize land that was never yours. Karen tried to interrupt. Enough, the judge snapped. Her lawyer whispered urgently to her. Too late, the judge turned to me. Did the HOA ever attempt to negotiate access legally? No, Your Honor. Did you ever consent to community use? No, sir. The judge nodded once. Then he delivered the ruling. Case dismissed with prejudice. Karen inhaled sharply. The HOA is ordered to cease all claims against this property immediately. Her lawyer slumped. Additionally, the judge continued, due to evidence of willful misconduct, harassment, and attempted property damage. Karen looked like she might faint. The plaintiff is ordered to pay all legal fees incurred by the defendant. A murmur spread through the courtroom, but the judge wasn't finished. A restraining order is granted. Ms. and the HOA are prohibited from entering or contacting the defendant or his property. Karen whispered. This is ridiculous. One more word, the judge barked, and I'll hold you in contempt. She shut up. Gavel slammed. Court adjourned. Karen stormed out without looking back. Her HOA board members didn't follow her. Stayed seated, staring at the floor. Outside the courthouse, a local reporter asked Karen for comment. She shoved past them. I shook my lawyer's hand. Best gate I've ever seen someone build, he said. And just like that, Karen's reign ended. Not with a scream at my gate, but with a judgment stamped a 9. Winning in court didn't feel loud. There was no cheering, no applause, just a stamped piece of paper, and a judge who clearly couldn't wait to get to his next case. But I felt something better than excitement. Relief. For weeks, my property had felt like a battlefield. Every sound on the driveway made me tense up, half expecting another HOA notice or another confrontation. Now, the law was finally on my side in writing black ink on white paper, and Karen hated that more than anything. The restraining order went into effect immediately. By the end of that same day, the HOA's attorney emailed mine a formal notice, stating they would comply fully with the court's decision. The tone was polite, careful, and very different from the threats they'd been tossing around just a month earlier. Funny how fast confidence disappears when consequences show up. The first real change came 3 days later. I was checking my mailbox when I noticed something unusual down the road. A group of HOA residents stood near the old shortcut entrance, staring at my gate like it had personally betrayed them. One man tried the keypad, another rattled it gently. Nothing happened. They read the sign. Private property. HOACCESS. Court order. EAACCESS. Court order. ENF 4 CD 1 by 1. They turned around. No yelling. No demands. No Karen. That silence felt earned. A week later I finished the final upgrades. The gate was no longer just a barrier, it was a statement. Solar panels powered the system. Cameras covered every angle. Motion-activated lights lit up the driveway at night like a runway. The keypad logged every access attempt. And right next to the keypad, in clean, professional lettering, I added a final sign. All trespassing is recorded and prosecuted. He slept better than I had in months. Karen, on the other hand, was not doing well. Word traveled fast in the subdivision. HOA group chats exploited. Screenshots of the court ruling circulated among residents. People started asking uncomfortable questions about fake fines, misuse of HOA funds, and why the board had been so aggressive over land they never owned. 2 weeks after the ruling, Karen resigned. Not publicly, not gracefully. She sent a short email blaming health issues and harassment before deleting her HOA account and disappearing from meetings altogether. The board replaced her quietly. Then came the audits. Residents demanded to know how much money had been spent on legal fees. The number wasn't small. Neither were the penalties the HOA had been hit with for filing fraudulent notices and misrepresenting property claims. Special assessments followed. Homeowners were furious. Some asked why Karen was allowed to act alone. Others wanted to know why. No one stopped her. A few even threatened to sue the HOA themselves. The irony wasn't lost on me. 4 years, they'd treated my land like a shortcut. Now, it was costing them real money. The county got involved next. Turns out, Karen's stunt had triggered a review of the HOA's permits and access agreements. Inspectors came through and found several creative interpretations of community boundaries. The HOA was forced to formally reroute pedestrian access, post new signage, and update their official maps. All of it expensive. All of it unnecessary. All because one woman couldn't accept the word no. A month later, I ran into one of the former board members at a hardware store. He avoided eye contact at first, then sighed. She told us if we acted confident, you'd back down. I raised an eyebrow, and he shook his head. You didn't? Nope. He nodded slowly. Guess confidence isn't ownership. I almost felt bad. Almost the final moment came. One quiet Sunday morning. I was walking my property line when I heard footsteps behind the fence. I turned and saw Karen, or at least, I thought it was her at first. Same haircut, same posture, but no clipboard, no sunglasses, no authority. She stopped when she saw me, looked at the gate, looked at the signs, didn't say a word. She turned around and walked away. That was it. No scream, no threats, no police call, just defeat. The land stayed quiet after that. The gate did its job. The cameras kept watch. And the shortcut, it vanished from memory like it never existed. Sometimes, late at night, I sit on the porch and listen to the wind move through the trees. No engines, no shouting. Just peace, the thing I bought the land for in the first place. People think gates are about keeping others out. They're not. They're about drawing a line. And once that line is backed by the law, even the loudest Karen in the world learns to stay on her side of it.